Hello and welcome to The Unexpected List. I'm Will, and with me as always is my only contestant,
Sarah.
And the way this works is simple. I will give Sarah a word or phrase, and she gives me the first 5 board games that come to mind. Are you ready?
Yes. No, but go ahead.
Which is it? Yes, no, or maybe go ahead?
Go ahead. Let's get this over with.
All right. Your list is inspired by repetition.
Oh, repetition. Interesting.
All right, we're back with Sarah's unexpected stack. Sarah, what did you think of with repetition? Since a lot of games have repetition in them.
Yeah, it really actually stumped me because I'm like, almost all games ask you to do the same thing over and over again. So I was trying to think about ones that felt repetitive, and that's either a good thing or a bad thing or something unique. But I could have pulled out almost every game off our shelf.
Yeah.
So these are the ones that came to mind when I was looking through our shelves, and let's go over why, I guess. This is going to be a weird one. So number 1 is no thanks. So on the repetitive nature of things I don't like, this would be one of those games, because that's what you're doing, is you're trying to not get points, and every time you decline to take the card in the middle, you put a token on and say the word no thanks.
Yeah, so much of that is a very repetitive action that's just over and over and over again.
Yes.
And it happens really fast, too.
Yes, so this is one of those short, fast games where all you hear for like 15 minutes is no thanks, no thanks, no thanks, no thanks. I get a little tired of it. I mean, it's not like it's a bad game, and we have it around because it is such an accessible game, and we brailled this so that we could play it with Will's family. It's just that part of it is slightly irritating on the repetitive part.
Okay.
All right.
Number 2.
Lucky numbers. On the opposite end, lucky numbers is very repetitive because, again, you're just dealing with numbers, putting them out in a grid, and yet we can play this game over and over and over and over again and not get tired of it. And I don't know exactly why. I mean, I know we're not saying no thanks all the time, so that kind of helps. But there's just something engaging about it, because even though you're doing the same thing, you can go about it and have different thoughts processes about it. So it's, for being lightweight, it's just still somehow very engaging.
I think it's because it has an organizational mechanism to it that you really like.
Yeah, because you're putting out these clovers in different spots, hoping that you gave yourself enough room so that way to get the right number in between other numbers. And sometimes you can do it and sometimes you can't. And so that's where the variability comes in the repetition part of it, is that, yeah,
it's always rewarding when you put down a good number.
Right, exactly. So lucky numbers, this one I can highly recommend for a lot of people, but it only plays up to 4 unless you get 2 copies, which our friends did so they could play it with their game group.
Okay, number 3.
Fabled Fruit. Another one of those games where what you do is pretty simple, because you're moving around these different cards to get fruit. Oh God, it's been a while since we played. Fruit tokens.
Yeah. But the game is always organically changing.
Yes.
Every single time you play it.
Right. This is one of the Friedman Freeze's experimental games where, as you play and you take cards for points, those cards have actions on them, and those are removed from the game play. And when the whole stack is gone, and there's only 4 cards in each stack, you get a whole new stack of cards that give you a whole different action. So even though what you do each turn is exactly the same, how you go about it completely changes, and it completely changes your strategy on how you approach making points. Or, well, in this case, you're trying to make smoothies, trying to get the fruit to make smoothies, and those are points. Why it's set in a jungle, I don't know, but then most of Friedman Freeze's games don't. Some of them make sense about where they're located. Right. But anyways, jungle animals making fruit smoothies. I recommend this one for being repetitive. It's very engaging because of the changing landscape. Okay, number 4.
Number 4.
Seven Wonders Architect. Another one of those Here, let me just put up the lid. You are doing, again, pretty much the same thing every turn. Taking a card. And maybe spending cards once you get the resources you need to build your wonder. But again, this one is oddly fun and engaging where we could play several games in a row and not get bored of it.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, you can change which, wonder that you're building, and which has a slightly different effect, because each one will have a slightly different focus or benefit or something. But generally, you're all trying to do the same thing, build your wonder first. Not necessarily first, but make the most points, which can come from making your wonder first. Mm-hmm. So I really like, this is my favorite Seven Wonders version, only because like the original was a bit overly complex and not playable by 2 players. But this one really distilled the concepts down. I think Architects is my favorite.
I think the drafting element of the original is just what dragged
this
playing time down.
Right. This is a lot faster. You only have 3 decks to choose from. Well, sorry, more if you have more players. Well, no, you still only have your left, right, and that middle.
The center, yeah.
Yeah. So
you only get more if you trigger abilities that let you choose others.
So that one, it's repetitive, but it's engaging. Mm-hmm. Now, this next one, Dice Realms, is controversial in that some people find it extremely dry and boring.
I think it's because of the theme. It's not because of the gameplay.
Well, it's the theme and the looks, because you pretty much just have dice with dice faces, that the dice faces are symbols.
Yeah.
And that's the game, is trying to make your die face, and you've got resources. It's not aesthetically pleasing to look at. The theme is kind of boring, but you are mechanically doing some really interesting comboing.
Yeah, it's dice building.
Yeah.
Mixed with deck builder.
Right.
That just combines together very well mechanically.
Right. So what you do is very, very repetitive, which is why a lot of people don't like it. But for us, we really enjoyed it. We've been waiting a really long time since they announced the expansion, and we did a pre-order. Just kind of learned, don't do pre-orders. At least not lately.
Over a year ago now?
Yeah, we're looking at maybe September of 2025, and it's spring of 2025, so hopefully sometime this year. It won't go into 2 years, but we enjoyed Dice Realms. It is expensive because of the cost of making the components,
which is why we did the pre-order in the first place, because it was a really good sell.
But there is going to be a second edition. I don't know if that will be cheaper, but I think it adds a few more things to make it worth more. It's going to add solo and some campaign style options, which will be in the expansion. So we'll get it and have an update to this, but there'll be a second edition as well. So,
okay.
I think then one honorable mention is very similar to Dice Realms is Dominion. I just didn't want to get the big box down. Dominion is another one of those games that what you do is so simple, but what changes it all up is the cards itself. We have all the expansions. We love Dominion. You can check our channel because we have done everything Dominion. And it's just one of those games that we can play over and over and over again. So we love playing that repetitively, but always changing up the cards.
Yes.
All right, Will, what are your repetitive games?
The first one I would mention is Quicks.
Oh, yeah.
So it's a dice game, but the idea is as you write down numbers, you're avoiding repetition.
Yeah.
So repetition becomes your enemy.
Yeah.
Another one where repetition plays a big factor, and I'm probably going to get the name wrong, is the Super Pinball.
Yes, Super Skill Pinball.
Yes. That one, entropy of your ball running out of steam is the problem. So you have to find the path best to increase as much repetition as possible within your pinball machine to score the best.
Oh, that's true. You're trying to get the ball to move around more.
Yeah, you're actively trying to put in as much repetition as possible in the smartest way possible so that you can score smartly.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Otherwise, if I also went with a dice game, I'd probably go with Dice Forge.
Oh, yeah, Dice Forge.
Because the repetition in there is, well, you're always rolling the 2 dice. It's just the idea is try to make them as best as possible.
Right, and that has more variation because you have cards to gain and Although the cards are really just your points, but they have effects.
Yeah, yeah.
But you're right. You're trying to make the dice better so that you can get better results.
Yes.
All right.
All right. And we didn't do any research, but you can do all the research you can. So tell us in the comments below what games you think of with repetition. And this has been the Unexpected List. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, you can reach out to us on the various social media platforms at
Rolling with Two, that's TWO. We're on Blue Sky, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. For Discord, we have a channel on Tabletop Express. Check the show notes for the invite link.
If you have time, check out the other content Nanaman has found for you, because remember, he's rolling with you.